Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any questions on what we have covered?
Hi, good morning, Shankiji. From the previous class, I did put a question after the class was finished. It was regarding, I think it was from the previous class, regarding the dreamer, the waker, and the deep sleeper. And my question was, if you're sleepwalking, under what, what do you classify that that state? Are you in a dream, a waker, or deep sleep? And you said that it depends how you have to define it, basically. And you said it's probably a dreaming, but I understood that when you're awake, you have actions. So, and in the dream sleep, you're not doing anything, you're just seeing things. So with the sleepwalking, because you're walking as well, I understand that sleepwalking, that's what it means, but you're doing it in a dream state. So is it dual? I don't know. Can you please elaborate on that, please?
So, like, I think you're asked on YouTube, right? So like I said over there, it all depends on your definitions, and your definitions are determined by what are you using that concept for. This is the whole philosophy of language. Like, what are you using this particular language? What are you trying to do? So over here, obviously, what we're trying to do is understand the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality. That's what we are doing over here. So for that, we have discovered that there are three relative realities as opposed to ultimate reality. There are three relative realities, and the three are waking, dream, and deep sleep. So how do we define them? We say deep sleep is when only your vasanas function. Dream is when your mind and intellect function. And in the waking state, all three function. When I say all three, it means vasanas are manifesting as thoughts and actions. And in the dream state, their vasanas are manifesting as thoughts. That's your mind and intellect. So only means whenever mind and intellect is there, includes vasanas, obviously. Right? So that's our definition. So now you have a problem with the definition, because you say, well, in sleepwalking, it is obviously sleeping, but the physical body is being used as well. Now, unconscious actions are not considered when we're talking about actions. When we say that the body gets involved in the body's actions are involved, we're always referring to conscious actions. That means actions which are propelled by either the mind or the intellect. Now, in sleepwalking, as also in maybe, turning around in your sleep, what in Hindi they say, karvat lena. You turn around in your sleep. You do many unconscious things with your body. Some people kick in their sleep. If you're married to a kicker, then you might get up all bruised because he or she has been kicking you at night. So different people have different forms of unconscious actions during the period of sleep. Those are not what we're including in actions when we talk about being in the waking state. Waking state, when we talk of actions, we talk about conscious actions. Like in your sleep, you may do many things. Your physical body may do many things. Your heart is beating, your food is getting digested, it's clearing out stuff, toxins are being removed, the body is fighting whatever ailments you have in deep sleep. So all that is not considered inaction. So sleepwalking comes in dream, in total.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Janki ji,
Yeah, go ahead.
just to add another version. Sometimes when we are sleeping, we are dreaming, but we are aware that we are dreaming. Then what does that fall under?
For the purposes of our discussion of what is the ultimate truth, we have said there are three types of relative realities. Now, there may be some overlap, there may be something, but our study is not of the relative reality. Our study is of the ultimate reality. So your awareness of sleep, as you call it, is entirely determined by whether you as an awaker are aware of that sleep or whether the dreamer is aware of that sleep. So that is a sort of gray area. We would include it in dreaming itself because it is not a function of the waking state. But now these are sort of gray areas, and different thinkers may put it on this side of the thing, and some may put it on the other. As we are concerned, we are going to put it all into dream. But now we need not, the point I'm trying to bring out is that we need not debate whether it's on this side of the thing or on that side of the thing, because our point is not the study of these things. As far as our class is concerned, it continues to be considered to be the dream state for the purposes of our class. Now, other thinkers may give other things and they may have their own theories on that. But it need not be debated, is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, so where were we? We were discussing that there are three states of relative reality. The Mandukya Upanishad, actually this chapter is really a sort of, it is expressing what Mandukya Upanishad says. Mandukya Upanishad is considered like one of the most difficult and most, it's not only amongst the top 11 Upanishads, among the top 11, there are 108 Upanishads, 200 and odd Upanishads, of which 108 are considered orthodox, of which 11 are considered particularly sacred because they are commentated on by the three great acharyas of this country, Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, and Ramanujacharya. Shankara is what we do because he was a proponent of Advaita. Madhvacharya was a proponent of Dvaita and Ramanujacharya of Vishishta Dvaita. Now, I'm not going into all these philosophies. For those who are interested, you can please look up the YouTube video, The Three Philosophies. So you want to look at that up. But the point here is, amongst the 11, which are the sacred the sacred Upanishads, because they were commented upon by these three philosophers, and interestingly, all three came up with three different philosophies based on these. Mandukya is like top. Mandukya Upanishad is like that thin. It's like, I don't know, it's not even one sheet of paper. I can't even say that thin. It's maybe one sheet of paper, like 12 verses. Would fit them all on one sheet of paper. Then Gaudapada wrote a karika on it. That is that thick. Then Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on that karika. So that makes it that thick. Now, so you can imagine how much thought over the centuries have gone into that particular Upanishad. I mean, and I'm just mentioning the two top ones. Besides that, any number of people have written on it. Now, this Upanishad tells us of two important concepts of Vedanta: Om and the three states of consciousness. Just that, 12 verses. Ma equates to waking, dream, and deep sleep. That's the whole Upanishad. It begins with saying that Atman has 4 parts. Okay, and Om has got 4 parts. So what are these 4 parts? Ma in Om, and waking, dream, deep sleep in Atman. And the 4th part is Om, which pervades Ma, and Turiya of Atman, which pervades waking, dream, and deep sleep. That's it. That's it. That's all it says. And centuries of commentary trying to figure out what on earth did he say. That's it. 12 verses. Vishwa, Tejasa, and Prajna, which are the Sanskrit words for waking, dream, and deep sleep. Now, imagine an Upanishad telling you that Om, Om, the word Om is written A-U-M, because it's composed of these 3 letters, is equated to the self. That's all it tells you. And it's like, like you'd say, so what? Upanishads don't talk of so what and all. They just make a statement. Now up to you to figure out what it's supposed to mean. So this chapter that we are fortunate enough to be doing is that concept explained of how we experience 3 things, not one. If I ask you, or ask any layman, what do you experience? The layman's concept of his experience is only the waking world. He rejects the other 2. Doesn't even find them worth mentioning. If I ask you, Shilpa, tell me the story of your life, what will Shilpa tell me? She'll tell me of which school she went, who are her parents, which school she went, college she went, who she married, what are her children's names, what is her occupation in life. All this explanation she gave me of Shilpa is of
A waking state.
Waking state.
Only waking state. So we are so, if I ask anyone, tell me your life story, they will only talk of the waking state, because it never occurs to us also that we experience 3 separate and distinct realities on a daily basis. Now, please don't act on it and say whatever happened in my dream I should take as real. That is not what it is saying. If you got $1 million in your dream last night, don't try spending it today. It doesn't work like that. Don't make the dream real. They're not trying to make the dream real. They're trying to
make the waker unreal.
Make the waker unreal. Don't turn the dream into real. Very good, Deep Raj. They're trying to displace or shake a little bit that certainty of our belief of reality. And why should we even disturb that belief is because on a daily basis, every single day of your life, you have experienced, believed with the same degree 3 different things. You say, no, I don't think that the dream is true. The waker doesn't think that the dream is true. Who thinks that the dream is true?
Dreamer.
Dreamer thinks. Does the dreamer have any doubt that whatever is being seen in the dream, is there any doubt? Just as the waker has no doubt. Same situation. So, three distinct realities that we are going through. This much we should be clear about. Don't jump the gun, but at least so much we should be clear that we have believed three different things and continue. Right now, you believe something. If you fall off to sleep because the discussion is too much for you, you will believe something else. Three distinct things. So the question arises, what, therefore, is real? Is there anything real? What is it? Now let us see what he has to say about that. Everybody is clear up to this point. Is anybody new to the class today? And something is not clear, please ask, because we are building upon this. What new names am I seeing? Manish Shah, are you new? Manish looks new. Samaresh, are you new? Who else is here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is this your first class, Samaresh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are you clear about what has happened so far? What you need to know is that each one of us go through three states of consciousness. The waking world, which we are in now. When we go to sleep, there's a dream world that gets created. And when we go into deep sleep, then there is nothingness. So when we are in that nothingness, we are entirely sure there's nothing. When we're in the dream world, we're entirely sure that whatever we are dreaming, that's what's happening. And when we are in the waking world, we continue to hold the same surety here. No difference in the surety of its reality. So therefore, we can easily say that our surety of the reality of something doesn't make it so. Is this much clear, Samaresh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, you jumped in at some of them at the most, these are the more difficult concepts. So we've come in at a difficult time, but if you have any question, please do ask. It should all sound perfectly logical. If anything doesn't sound logical, please ask. Manish, you're also new? Manish Shah.
No, I'm attended a few lectures before, not regular, but I've attended a few.
Okay, fine. Are you clear about this concept?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, fine, good. Is anybody else unclear about any part of this concept? Because this is your chance to ask it. Now, because it's going to build on that, right? So you should be clear. So far, so good, everyone. Give me a thumbs up to tell me that you're good about it. Nice, such few thumbs ups. Very few. Okay, so then let's proceed.
Should I read?
Carry on, carry on.
Should I read?
I think there's some issue on Jankiji's and
He cannot hear us.
Yeah. Jankiji, no sound?
Please go ahead. Can everybody hear now? It had gone off for a little.
Yes, it's fine.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear.
So go ahead, Milan. What happened?
Should I read?
Yeah, go ahead, Jyoti.
Now the question arises as to what is real, the waking or the dream or the deep sleep state. Reality is defined as that which existed in the past, which exists in the present, and will exist in the future. That which persists eternally is said to be real. Conversely, that which exists for a period of time and not before or after that period is considered unreal, false. Apply this definition to the above three states, then none of them stand the test of reality. The waker and the waking world exist as long as the waking state of consciousness lasts. No sooner than you leave the waking state to enter either the dream or deep sleep, the waker and the waking world disappear. They exist only during the waking period, not before or after. The waker and the waking world are of no significance, no value to the dreamer and the deep sleeper. The waking state does not exist for them. They dismiss it as meaningless, with no pith or substance in it. Hence, the waker and waking world cannot be real. It is false. Should I summarize?
Yes, please.
So, reality is defined as that which existed in the past, exists in the present, and will exist in the future. So, if we compare this definition with the three states, three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep, none of them are real because none of them exist at all times.
Very good. None of them stand up to the test of reality. What is the test of reality? The test of reality, whether something is real or not, is tested by the fact, does it persist or not? If something is a constant every day, okay, take an example. Suppose we say, ask Madeline, what is your name? And she tells us, my name is Mary. Then another time we ask her name, and she says, my name is Jane. And won't we be surprised? We ask her another time. And then she says, my name is Madeline. And yet another time, and then she says, my name is Paula. What is the most natural question you will ask her?
What's her actual name?
Who are you?
What is your real name? Because every day you're giving me a different answer. What is your real name? We'll say one day I tell you I stay in Mumbai, one day I tell you I stay in Delhi, one day I tell you I stay in Paris, one day I tell you I stay in, I don't know, Chikmagalur, wherever. You will ask me, where do you really stay? Why do you ask that question? Because you know instinctively that whatever is real must last. This is a definition of reality which has been accepted by most philosophers, that if it is real, it must last. Now check your waking state. Every night it seems to disappear. When it disappears, when you speak to the dreamer, anything that you may have done in your waking state has no meaning for that dream. or the deep sleeper. You may be, I don't know, you may be, suppose, who's the world's richest man now currently? Jeff Bezos, right? So let's say Jeff has
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is richest now? Oh, okay, good. You see, you can't say who's the real rich man because it keeps changing all the time. You have to keep on top of this. Okay, so Elon Musk has gone to sleep. All his electric cars, all his space missions, all his wealth for that dreamer means nothing. In a second, it's all zero. In a second. Not only is it zero, but imagine this. Ronald Reagan, you all know Ronald Reagan, right? He was the President of the United States. Ronald Reagan got Alzheimer's, unfortunately. Very sad thing, which could happen to any one of us. For Ronald Reagan, once he gets his Alzheimer's, what was that whole experience of being the world's most powerful man? Or being the movie star, or being the world's most powerful man? Even without leaving the waking world, it is all gone as far as he is concerned. How real is our reality? How real? The question we have to ask ourselves. What cannot last cannot be given the importance of things that do last. They don't last. Not only doesn't last in the waking world, it disappears when you go to sleep. It disappears in dream. How it all disappears. And how we believe in it so much. Nothing of the waking world has any meaning for the dreamer. Nothing of the dream world has any meaning for the wake. And yet, while it is on, now here's the crux of it. While it is on, it means everything. While it is on means while the waking world is there, while you're awake, whatever problems you're having, whatever pain is there, it is very much there. Whatever success you have, whatever joy you're enjoying, it is very much there. It is real as far as you're concerned. You fall off to sleep and something else is just as real. So, what is real is the question we have to ask ourselves. This is a question for which we cannot have an answer. Why can't you have an answer?
Because we don't know it.
Because
We don't have an experience of it.
yeah, you're stuck in these three things. You're stuck in these three things. These three things which shift and change. So you have no idea what is that thing, if there is any such thing, which does not shift and change at all. Because whatever that thing may be, that has to be real. Because it didn't shift, it didn't change, it continued to be there. Imagine a light bulb. It is covered with a pink paper. You see pink light. It is covered with a purple paper. You will see purple light. It is covered with a gold paper. You will see gold light. Suppose you can only see the movement of these three colors, the pink, the purple, and the gold. That is going on. And you never see this light without one of those coverings, then you know for sure that the changing light, the changing color is changing. It's not real. But the light is there, right? There's some light there. There's some consciousness there. That light has to be the truth because that light is continuing. The colors are changing. But what is the color of that light? There's no way you can know. What is that light also? There's no way you can know because you've always seen it through a coloration. That there is something continuing. We are assuming because consciousness is continuing. So there is something continuing, but it seems to have different colors, different colorations. So these colorations are not true, but what is that truth? That cannot be told. Okay, let's see. Milind. Sunil is dreaming he's Anil and very rich man. What is that? What do you mean, Milind? What is that? You already said it's a dream. What do you mean? What is that? It's his dream. He is certainly not a very rich man as far as the waker is concerned. As a dreamer, he's a rich man.
But both are different personalities?
Yeah. They're different, no? Sunil is, according to you, a poor man, and Anil is a rich man. So they're different personalities. Different personalities means what? Different attributes to that personality. Okay?
Okay.
Bharat, if test of reality is that it persists, then even within the waking world, there are constant changes and hardly stable. That's another factor which questions questions its reality, right? Yes and no. There are definitely constant changes and it's hardly stable. But let us say your mother, for instance. She is your mother. She will be your mother from the moment of your birth till the moment of your death. So here is something that has lasted the whole experience, right? So though there are many changing things, such as she may grow older or she may grow wiser or whatever it is that happens to her, there are some things that are constant in your life, which may be. So you can't say that it is completely nullified. But when you go to dream, you can absolutely completely nullify it. You can dream that your mother is somebody else altogether different. So it's like completely nullified. So as a test of reality, which means a test means what? It must be true in all cases. In the waking world, it may not be true in all cases. In the waking world, the sun rises in the east. It does that all the time. But in the dream world, the sun may rise from the west. Possibility. So that's another factor which questions reality. Yes and no. You could use the changing nature of the world to reassess reality. But in absolute terms, you could also find things which are there. Like Himalayas will be Himalayas, right? From the time of your birth and to the time of your death. So answer is yes and no.
Okay, thank you.
Can a self-realized person in a dream and deep sleep state be said to be experiencing two unreal states? If not, does that mean that the self-realized don't dream, or that even in dream they know the truth? Omkar, I guess that's you. We cannot discuss the experience of a self-realized soul. It is like a dreamer discussing the experiences of a waker. It's not really possible. Everything that we say is a mere surmise. There's no real communication between us and a self-realized soul. So what really he goes through or she goes through is not possible for us to say. You cannot say they don't dream. That you cannot say, because if they can go through a waking state, why can't they go through dream and deep sleep? So that won't hold. What exactly is that experience? We can only surmise that in the waking state, they understand they are not the body mind. Right? Dream also, they may do the same or they may not. I don't know.
Thank you.
Madly. On the other hand, we can use the knowledge of the impermanence of the three relative realities to say, also this will pass, like in the poem. Whenever something tragic happens in the waking state. Madeline, we can use the knowledge of the impermanence of the three relative realities, not only when something tragic happens, we have to use it all the time. Because in joy, we can get into so much attachment that we can, that attachment to the joy is the tragedy. So we keep that knowledge of its impermanence always with us.
Thank you, Chandraji.
All right, so shall we move on? Who will read the next paragraph?
Should I
I can read.
continue? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Who said I will read?
Oh,
Yeah,
Deepak.
yeah, go ahead, Deepak.
Apply the same test to the dream and deep sleep states, the dreamer and the dream world, the deep sleeper and his world. Both fail the test of reality. Each of them exists only during the period of its state of consciousness, not before and after. Hence, the waker, dreamer, and the deep sleeper and their three worlds are said to be false. But the consciousness exists in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states and beyond as well. Should I summarize or move to the next paragraph?
Summarize, you discover it in the core of your personality. Go to there.
Okay. That is your supreme self appearing through the media of the gross, subtle, and causal bodies. When all the three bodies drop off, the consciousness remains in its immaculate state. The consciousness exists in all periods of time, stands the test of reality, and that is yourself within. You discover it in the core of your reality, core of your personality. So it talks about what is real and what is unreal. Both the three states of consciousness exist at a certain time period and ceases to exist after a certain time period. So they don't test. Neither of the three states stand the test of reality, but the consciousness that exists in all three states do. It persists in all the three states and beyond, which is the self, which is the core of your personality. And we discover it in the core of our personality.
You have to go within to find it. Though it is everywhere, you have to go within to find it. So I hope this much is clear, that all three states are equally important, but the consciousness in each state. See, in the waking world, you are conscious of all that is happening here. In the dream world, you are conscious of all that is happening in the dream. In the deep sleep state, you are conscious of nothingness. How do you know you're conscious of nothingness? Don't you bring back the report? You say, no, that I slept so well. I didn't know anything. I was dead to the world. You come back and tell us of what happened then. That you means you were conscious of what happened then. So, the fact of consciousness is the only sustainable thing. However, the consciousness is a colored consciousness. In one case, your consciousness is of the dream, of the waking, and another of the dream, third of nothingness. It's a colored one. It's like the paper is there. The colored paper is covering the light. You can't see what the light is. You're always conscious of something. You don't know what is consciousness. What is it to be conscious? You don't know that. Nobody can answer that. You've now got a whole field in science trying to determine what consciousness is. Many, many years ago, the Rishi says, you cannot know it. Now let them find out. Is it possible? Philosophy says it is not. You will not know what it is. It is not possible to know what it is. And they're making every attempt to find out, which is a good thing. You need not believe what you have been told. Go ahead and find. And maybe you will come to the same conclusion that every conscious thing of yours is merely a colored consciousness, a conditioned consciousness, a consciousness with something added. Never is it consciousness by itself. I can't even conceive what is consciousness by itself. Let's say, if I ask you now, are you conscious? You will have to tell me a certain, yes, I am conscious of this class. But I did not ask you whether you are conscious of this class. I asked you, are you conscious? And you can't answer that question because you'll always be conscious of something. So in and through all this changing phenomenon, there is some kind of permanence, a permanence that is intriguingly unavailable. In some sense, you know that it is everywhere. How do you know it is everywhere? Because when you look at the things, you believe they're all permanent. Isn't it? Naturally, everybody thinks it's permanent, whatever we are going through. We have a Saturday class. Do you believe that this Saturday class will go on? You believe it will. And for all you know, this may be the very last one. No, it is not. Please come next time. I'm just giving you as an example. Otherwise, you all will say, oh, it was last class, goodbye. No, we hope to have it next time, God willing. But that belief in the permanence of things. Why do we miss class? Why are we irregular with class? Because we believe it will be there. They'll be there next time. We don't go to them, they'll be there next time. So we seem to have an unconscious, sort of instinctive belief in the permanence of things. All of us believe that we are going to be alive in the next 10 minutes. Do any of you think you're not going to be there after 10 minutes? The oldest person, the sickest person believes in 10 minutes, yeah, I'll be there. Really? Do we know that? So we believe in the permanence of things. We sort of experience a permanence of things in the things we ourselves know are impermanent. Now, the big question of life is, what in that thing is permanent? Why am I recognizing permanence in something obviously impermanent? So there must be something permanent, but I'm not able to tell what is permanent, what is impermanent. What is that thing which will last, and what is that thing that will go? No way for me to tell. For me, it's all just one mass of mixed. Isn't it? You can't tell anything. If I ask you, is everything changing? Then you say, yes, everything is changing. Do you believe everything is changing? No, really, we don't believe anything is changing. What is the color of your hair? Deep Raj, what is the color of your hair?
Black.
Black. Do you believe your black hair is permanent?
Yes.
Yes. You believe everyone, right? Each one, whatever the color of our hair, we believe it is permanent, though we know for certain it is not.
The hair itself is not permanent.
That's right. Hair itself is not permanent. Yes, Deepraj. That's life. Now we know young Deepraj. 50 years later, if we are still in contact with him, know what he will be, who will be, what will he be like. And yet for us, there's a fixed notion. This is Deepraj. So something will continue 50 years later. But what in Deepraj will be there 50 years later? This whole body will be different. Maybe his emotions will be different. Now he's a young boy, not yet married, no love for grandchildren. right? Deepraj has no love for grandchildren. 50 years later, he'll be crazy about his grandchildren. Today, he doesn't even conceive that they can exist. 50 years later, grandchildren will be a big thing in his life. My grandchildren are coming. So what is the permanent and what is the impermanent? We cannot distinguish. It's all sort of all bound together as the warp and the woof. What is going to last and what is not? Mukesh, can one say that consciousness is permanent when one experiences it? Or is this statement is also not valid? Well, you can go and you can become unconscious, right? The consciousness by itself is no meaning to us. If I say, are you conscious? You cannot answer that question. Say, are you aware? The conscious means aware, means knowledge. So do you have knowledge? Are you aware? Are you conscious? Then you will say, am I conscious of what? Am I aware of what? So consciousness by itself, without some off being there, without some condition being there, is not comprehensible to us. So you can say consciousness is permanent, but you don't know what that sentence means. If you add when one experiences it, then it becomes impermanent because everything you're conscious of is impermanent. So your first part will be valid. If you add the second part, it will not be.
Thank you.
Sorry, all those who came new. Sorry that you all had to jump straight into this kind of a discussion. Madeline, so the three relative realities only exist in the eye, consciousness of the beholder. Only when we experience reality. Reality does not exist objectively by itself. So a chair is only a chair because I believe it is a chair. This discussion is a different discussion, Madeline. The reality, we will study this a little later. There are two versions of reality as given by philosophers. No philosopher agrees on anything, but just as a broad classification. One is what is known as idealism, and one is what is known as realism. Idealism says what you have said here, that it exists only as I see it. This is one way of looking at it. The other way is realism, that says the horse or the chair exists by itself without whether you're there to see it or not. Okay, so these are two broad ways of philosophers looking at the world. One which says the world in and of itself exists, the other which says that your world is your thoughts. Now, what Vedanta says is neither is true. Neither the world, that means that horse or that chair or whatever it is you're seeing, nor your thoughts are real. So the reality is attributed to something beyond thoughts. So as far as this world is concerned, both have to exist. The horse has to exist, and you have to exist to see the horse for you to have that experience, as far as the world is concerned. But all of that is considered part of relative reality. I'm telling you in real brief, we will have a whole chapter on this soon. Okay. So relative reality means the object is there, you are there is a connection. That is why it's called relative. Absolute reality, what it means, we have no idea. Yes, Milan, no man steps into the same water twice. Well, no man steps into the same river twice, is the actual thing, because the waters are flowing. Okay, so are we good so far? Everybody is sort of at least clear. You'll need to think a lot to make sense of what we're talking today, but at least you have enough to think about it. You should not be confused about what you're thinking. At least that much should be clear. So far, so good. 3 states of consciousness, all 3 change, all 3 equal surety. Therefore, which one is real? None stand the test of reality because they don't persist. So does anything persist? Yes, consciousness persists. But is that the reality? Even that is not the reality, because the consciousness is a colored consciousness, a conditioned consciousness. If you want to know what is the reality, you will have to find out what is that consciousness without this coloration, without this conditioning. That consciousness is the core of the personality. So if you hunt it down, you have to go within. You can't go outside. Is it because it is not outside? No, it's outside too. But to find it, you have to go within. In other words, government is everywhere. But if you want to speak to the government, you'll have to go to New Delhi. You can't speak to the government in, I don't know, Chikmagalur. Right. So who will read the next paragraph?
I'll read it.
Somebody,
Someone else?
somebody else said, Kalyan, you said something?
Yeah, I can also read this.
Yeah, go ahead, Kalyan.
The
I'm
Veka,
Jyoti, but I just thought different people is good.
the Veka goes through the waking states of consciousness as a particular person and declares, I am that person. Likewise, the dreamer goes through the dream state of consciousness as a different person and declares, I am this person. So does the deep sleeper claim his experience of sleep. The I pervades the waking state, the same I persists in the dream state, and thus so in the deep sleep state. The I is the common factor in the 3 states of consciousness, the substratum of all experiences. It is your supreme self, the pure consciousness, the absolute reality. Yeah, he's building on the same thought with the explanation of this same concept, saying that the I, which is there in all the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleeps, is what is permanent, and that is what is the absolute reality, and which is the common factor across the three states of consciousness.
The I without the conditioning. Correct. I is always there. When you were a little baby, the I was there. I am this. At this age, the I is there. I am this. When you are 107 years old, that I will be there. What is the this I am changes, but the I stays. That's why when Moses asked in the Bible, Moses asked God, who shall I say has given me this? To which the Lord is supposed to have replied, I am that I am. The dreamer also says, I am this. And the deep sleeper says, I am nothing. I am persists. What is that consciousness? What is that I am? What is that one thing which we don't ever seem to know and yet is always there? We only know it through something, through some coloration, through some adjective, through some noun. We don't seem to know it by itself. I, what is that I? What is that consciousness? What is it? Vedanta calls that the state of Turiya, or the fourth. Remember I told you Mandukya Upanishad says it is made up of 4 parts. We've done 3 of those parts. We have to do the 4th part, which is Turiya. Turiya means 4th. What is the 4th? What is that 4th state? It gives us a feeling that there's some state different from this. That's not what it's talking about. That state is with us right now, right here. It's not different from this, even though it is different from this. It is that which is never leaving us. It is that I within. The I is the constant. And then there is waking, dream, and deep sleep. And I plus waking, dream, and deep sleep together make up the 4 parts of Brahman. So that doesn't mean there's waking, dream, and deep sleep, and then there is something else. It is there. It is not different. Suppose there's a sample of water. One is green, one is blue, one is pink. The water is there. The coloration is different. So you say that there are 4 things here. The 3 colors and the water. But when that coloration only can exist because of the water, right? And there's no water, what are you going to color? So there's not 4 separate things, but the one real thing and the 3 things that are superimposed upon it. So Turiya, the 4th, is what we have to study from next time. Only thing is, don't look upon it as a 4th state, as something different. It is right here, right now with us. How do we know it has to be right here, right now with us?
Because
it exists in all 3 states.
Very good. Because if it did not, it won't stand up the test of reality. Suppose something exists in some other state and it does not exist now, then it's not real. So it has to be existing now. It has to be existing in all periods of time. Okay, so just please bear that in mind, because the tendency is to think of 4th as something else. Because you're calling it the 4th, so think of something else. But there's no other way to call it. I mean, whatever word you use, there's always an immediate something else. If you use the word God also, you think, oh, this is the world and there's some God somewhere. If you say Atman also, then same thing happens. There's the body, mind, intellect, and there's the Atman. Like it sounds like something else. It's not something else. It is the I. It is always there. It has never left. Permanent, ever present. This we will study from next time.